Hey there, this is episode 14 of the Sexcapade Chronicles, and with us today we have Josh.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Thanks for coming.
My friend of 20 years who has seen all the shit showiness and fun that is me. The best, worst, and everything in between. So, he is the owner of Hussix Tap House in Clarksburg, and tell us a little bit about what you got coming up in July.
It's our 1 year anniversary. It took over July 1. So we're going to throw a party on July 6th, celebrating it. We got a band, Lucid. They're pretty cool. You'd like to see that. They have some beer specials and then just party.
We're good at that.
Yeah.
We're good at partying. We will be there, Josh.
Yes.
Have no fear.
I'll work hard to not be shit-faced by like 2 o'clock.
I can't imagine why we're friends at all.
I was trying to be shit-faced by 2. I had it backwards.
The band comes on a little later. We got to at least keep it together till then.
So we have lots of drunken stories, Josh and I, so, you know. And he was on my date last night, which we're going to get to in just a sec.
Yeah, we have to clarify that. On the date with, isn't that like, it was like a double date thing, with just minus the fourth wheel. I came in later, but yeah.
Josh came and saved me for my date, so we'll
Can't wait to talk about it.
Okay, so Josh and Lisa are in a special club together. It's the Divorced People Club. 2 times. I'm looking for that third. No, she's not, but like we were joking about it.
No, you're the third party.
I'm the third party.
You need to get married and then join.
Oh, so I can join the club?
Yes.
Okay, that sounds like a great plan. Do I have any takers out there? Actually, I do.
Oh.
I was invited on my date last night to be the wedding date tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay, so, anyway, so let's talk about my Hinge experience. So, you guys, I joined Hinge as I promised I would. And when Lisa was gone in Vegas and I was lonely and having cocktails Friday night at home, I decided that this would be a fun little idea. So I went on my first date last night, and we went and got some margaritas at a local place that has really good margaritas, perhaps goblets of them. And and he is divorced and has 2 kids and, like, you know, new to dating. Now, I can outdrink most people. So when this person who will remain nameless because they looked me up last night and said they knew who I was and all those fun things about being the queen of dating. So let's kind of talk about what you walked in and saw, Josh.
Well, first the text messages of, hey, come here, pick me up. It's not going too well. That was the first sign I was walking into something. Walking in, you were very excited to see me. Screamed Joshy Poo across the bar. So it was nice and awkward right off the bat because I knew there was just a guy right next to you that's supposed to be on a date. And so flashback to like all the bad dates I had where I could just see the girl not very comfortable and then feeling very uncomfortable because I know this date sucks. And like we both just want to go or are hoping to, but then it also noticed like he wasn't noticing how bad it was at that point too. I think he was drunk and oblivious that this was not going to work out. So there was that, and you were upset at him, and then he was defending himself, and I'm just like, we need to go.
Well, I mean, it takes a lot. Wait.
So what time was the date at? Just so we know how.
I was there at 7. You've been at it for a couple hours, right?
Yeah, we started like around 4.
Yeesh.
So, I wanted 1 margarita, then he's like, well, do you want to get a second one? And it was going okay at that point, you know? The 3rd margarita is when you arrived, and like that had hit. And,
We're like this big.
the 32-ounce ones, yeah, but like I have friends there, so there was a lot of alcohol in these. And he kept talking about how much he liked to drink. And so that was like the most concerning part is like when I can like, I was sleep deprived, granted, but like I knew what was going on. Now, I was very upset when you walked in. How often do I get that upset, Josh?
No, not often.
He was pretty bad.
Yeah.
He was like saying things and then taking them back and saying I was making it up.
Which I didn't witness that. I just got to hear you tell him that multiple times and him defend himself. I did like how it ended, where he said, I really do like you and I hope I can see you again.
Oh, he's super oblivious to the fact that it was shitty.
Yeah, it was really, I'm just like, I just tapped him on the back. I'm like, all right, bud, you have a good night. I'm sorry.
As I walk outside with my goblet of alcohol and Josh, we have cocktails, let's drink.
Yeah. So we stood outside and drank it while he's in there still. And that's how my night started.
With Jen last night. We We had a full night of me. So I'm gonna read some of the messages that came afterwards.
I'm gonna breathe. It's so bad.
Jen Bryan, I am sorry the night didn't turn out the way you wanted. I do not care you're a celebrity or not. I will treat you who you are. Word for word. I really enjoyed you. I think there was a huge misunderstanding. I am sorry. Thank you for having some drinks with me. I did like you, would never ever talk bad about you. Good night. Have fun on your 30 dates. I really would not say anything bad about you. I'm sorry. I really like you and I just Googled you and I still love you. I am sorry.
You can take me out on a date.
I mean, I have never been told, like, you know, they loved me that quickly.
First date.
First date.
That ended horribly, but he loves you.
And there was no over the pants stuff or anything, which is impressive.
There was not even a kissing, like, there was like, don't touch me, motherfucker. Like, I was more on top of you.
I didn't mean to shiver like that. It was not meant that way. It was a long night, and that would have been really bad.
You know, Josh, I am so grateful you came last night because, like, when I, like, kind of finally went off, I'm like, look, motherfucker, like, I was proud of myself, though. I stood up for myself, and I wasn't mean, I don't think.
No, it just was hard for me because there was no context. So if coming in when I came in, there was nothing other than, like, he looked beat down and depressed, and then you're, like, talking shit. And so, like, I'm just going, I'm hoping and trusting there's a reason why Jen's being this way. She says it is, but I'm hoping it is. And he's like, I don't know. I'm like, oh, this is just, okay, we gotta go. Like, I don't care, we gotta go.
And this is what dating is like for me, friends. Like, so, you know, for all those who wonder why I don't date in Sacramento. Well, I mean, I was really grateful, though, that you came, and then we hung out, and, you know, I had a meltdown because, you know, it's been a week. But, you know, we talk a lot about, like, support and friends, and we've been friends for 20 years. Over 20 years now.
Don't remind me.
And I moved back to Sac 10 years ago, and that's when, like, you know, we became really good friends through Colin. And, like, we've gone through some shit. So you've had 2 divorces.
Yeah.
Going through one right now.
Yeah, very different styles, yes.
You know, like, you wanted to get married and settle down pretty young.
Yeah, well, didn't want to. I think I'm more like a serial monogamist. I could go without the marriage portion. It just happens to be I'm into women that want the marriage and all that. And I think part of it is they see me and, like, on paper I make a lot of sense, but I'm a madman. And there's a lot, not in a bad way, but in a, like, I don't know about marrying this guy. Like, I'm a good husband, and super loyal and all that, but I'm also crazy. And so, like, you get a little bit more in the package than just the good stuff. You still have, like, oh boy, what's he up to today?
Oh, this is so familiar, Josh. So this is why we're friends. Because, like, you know, because, like, on paper, like, we look like we have it all together. And then we're crazy in our own ways, you know, because we don't give a fuck, and I've always had fun, because that's just who we are, and that's who I associate with. But we're not judgmental people, and, like, we always, like, I always talk about being the ride or die crew. Like, we all accept one another and our crazy and dysfunction. The world does not accept.
Well, and this is, like, that's part of me being in the industry, and that's where, you know, when I'm going through the second one and I'm around other owners or other staff and everything, everyone gets it because this is the life. We're all kind of nuts. Our schedules don't make sense. It's not the 9 to 5. It's not the typical family experience, to where we all are kind of fighting that same struggle, where it goes, I see it happen, you know?
Like, the balance. There's no balance.
It's
like,
hard to.
You're married to your job because, like, being a business owner and such, you work for the state. Like, I was a teacher, like, you know, and to go out on your own and start your own company and, like, you know, like, to open up, like, your own tap house.
And you're in the fun business. And part of the fun business is having fun, to know what fun is and know the other fun people so everyone can have more fun. And that's the tough part, because it looks like it's all fun and games, and it's so many times I wish I was just home right now. I'd like to be more of a homebody, but it's also, I start falling behind. I start losing my contacts. I start, you know.
When you have your own business, you don't have the luxury of, I'm just going to, you know, just going to work now at 5 p.m. I'm going to turn off my phone and everything will be fine.
And after 5 is when so much more is going on. It's hard to be dependable in a sense. You can be, but you can't be. Hard to commit to things because you don't know what's coming.
Yeah.
And so, like, dating, I sound flaky versus, like, I'd really like to hang out, but I don't know what this day brings me. I'll let you know at the end of the day because I'll have an idea. Otherwise, I don't know, maybe in 2 weeks I'll have a day off.
Well, yeah, because like you and I tried to get together for the last couple weeks.
Oh
and
yeah,
stuff.
you've been trying to. So you can see I'm not just talking.
Oh
about
no,
it.
I'm saying like I know, but our schedules and stuff, and our shooting, and like running the companies and stuff. Like my job is to go out just like it's yours.
Yeah.
Like you run Geeks Who Drink, the West Coast Canadian sales rep. You started it in Sacramento. Like you laid the groundwork and have grown huge. And that's on top of now being a business owner.
And I did that for the state while I was working for the state too.
Yeah.
It allowed me to do this. So, and what brings that is I'm traveling at least 2 weeks a month. And so on top of everything else, I'm out. So now I'm in this fun business doing fun stuff when I'm home and running the business because it's year one, so I can't afford the labor. Right. So I'm working, still getting out, and traveling for work, which it's also, I sell to bars and restaurants, so I'm at bars and restaurants. So it doesn't help my case whatsoever.
Yeah.
That would be hard to be married and have that lifestyle.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
It really is, where it's the point where I don't blame someone checking out. I don't blame where it's at. How it's handled is a little different. But it's one of those going like, no surprise. New businesses and remodels are like two of the biggest marriage breakers out there because there's just so much turmoil. It's not fun at all. It sounds fun, and no matter how much you want a partner, if they're trying to be supportive or hope for the best and be positive, or they kind of lie to themselves a little bit, thinking, oh, it won't be that bad. And then when it gets real, it's like, oh, and there's so many things you didn't think about that comes with it, but each thing is important, and yeah.
So when I started the Queen of Dating, I met that person that I loved very much, and I don't name names, but like that I was in a relationship with when I got sick, and he helped me build the company. And you saw like how this was like the relationship that changed like my life basically. Yeah. But it also was the demise because when I got sick and the stress of everything, and what he chose to go do. I mean, you can elaborate on this.
Yeah. I mean, he was a bit of a party boy, and he makes some really, really bad decisions. He does not cope well.
He does not cope with stress, but like the stress of me being sick and being on TV, and like the stress of like my lifestyle, and then being so I couldn't fix any of it, and then I got sick. Like so, like you had your dog the past week. Like who is your like support? Like like I had him. That was like my family basically, and when that goes away.
Yeah. And I mean, that's kind of like the hardest part with divorce, right? Is getting to your new normal, and then when you hit a little bit of chaos, being used to having. I mean, we all have enough friends and family. I'm there for you if you need anything, but it's not the same. Totally not the same.
Right.
And like, no, it's not the same as this person that knows everything. I can actually completely fall apart, and this person will carry that weight for a little bit. Like even for half an hour, but I'm just going to be a complete mess. And
see, I didn't have that with my ex-husband, so.
Oh, see, I've had it. I mean,
maybe the first one, but
I had that with Josh last night, just to record him crying hysterically. He did do that for me, as I was just like, after the date, like shit went real wrong. So thank you, friend, for letting me cry hysterically.
I've been very lucky. Both my wives. The second one, she's not doing things right or nice. Not nice. We don't have to be together, but you can still be nice. But they're both, when they were partners, quite a bit. They gave me what I needed to be strong, like to where, or I didn't have to be strong. I was strong most of the time, but every once in a while I could be weak, and they would allow me. That's until this last one. Towards the end, I couldn't be weak either, or it was a problem. So. Dealing with that and losing that kind of shoulder and the person who knows you so well and things is kind of rough. But finding other things. So I found my support in my pups. I've got a 200-pound Great Dane, Titus. Wow. Yes.
I thought my dog was big.
No, yeah, he's 6'3". We go eye to eye. And then Sansa. I'm so lucky because they're so empathetic. Especially these two, for some reason they'll sit there, they read you, and then they respond accordingly.
Right.
The big dummy just broke his leg. Had to take him to UC Davis. He has titanium plates and everything. I had to find out if he was gonna go to the farm in the sky or get the surgery last week.
Wow.
Yeah, the same day I found out that there was another guy with the X2. So it was an emotional week as well. I was on my bender through the weekend and kind of got my shit together right in time for Jen. It was great.
Right. That's a full-time job for all my friends.
Well, that's why my first thing I told her, like, drink some water, because that's all I've been trying to do for myself.
But I was like, there was a lot of going on, and like, I mean, I don't really break down very often. I don't think you ever see me that upset, you know. It's been a week, and you know, I think that when our friends and stuff like know, like we're in pain, and like you knew what was going on, I told you, but I was like crying outside on the street. Like,
it was 100 degrees. It was like hot, sweaty tears. Like we were both looking like messes without the cry. It was bad enough.
Yeah, so after, you know, and then I decided we need to go drink more, and you're like, Jen, you're already like a mess. It sounds like a great plan.
Yeah.
So, you know, I feel very fortunate, like, that we can always support each other, because my friends, as you know, have always been my family. You know the situation with my family.
Yep.
You've been there, seen it, met it, like, you know what's gone on over the years. Like, very few people know how bad.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not just saying it's bad. It's really bad.
It's gnarly.
Yeah, in a way that like my friends have always had to carry a lot of the weight. And so, you know, like when divorces or relationships end, like we always depend on one another though. I feel like that's kind of, I could go to you any day of the week or have you come on my date and rescue me. I mean, and as a friend, but you're also a business owner. You're also like that person that has a huge heart and would do anything for anyone.
Oh, stop.
No, but I know that about you because, like, when Colin moved, he's like, so, Josh, it's your job to take care of Jen now.
Somebody's got to take an eye on Jen. All right. Okay.
And that was, like, 7 years ago. I moved back to SAC 10 years ago. So, I mean, the amount of time and, like, the crossing the paths and, like, I met both your wives. And, like, I saw you walking down the street on your first date when I was with that person.
Oh, yeah. Forgot about that.
Yeah. And we were in the same profession.
Yep.
And so, you know, like, she was, like, a really nice person. I was really excited for you. And I'm really sorry it didn't work out the way because like, but that's the thing is like a loss because like you're that person that always puts yourself out there and you wear your heart on your sleeve.
Yeah.
And I think that like we're all kind of like damaged to the point that we don't perhaps do that, but like in the recovery process and going through treatment, I think that like I've learned to actually be more vulnerable.
Yeah.
And so like the crying hysterical Jen is not something most people would.
But it's necessary. It's like bottling it up is never the way. And then putting on the fun, happy face especially. I mean, that whole song, Tears of a Clown, kind of sums it all up. Yeah. So it's rough, but the support system, that's key in maintaining friendships in a relationship is something that gets overlooked quite a bit because you take for granted those people that do care about you. And that's one thing I didn't do. Is my network was too big to where it was hard to maintain to as much as I had while single. And it almost kills me when I'm single to try to maintain it all because it's, go. But there's something to be said about not neglecting the friendships and relationships you have while you're in a relationship because you don't know, and hope to God nobody goes through it, but you don't know where you're going to be. And you don't want to, even if they come back, you don't want to feel guilty for having been such a shitty friend and they're still helping you. Yeah. You know, why not get ahead of it and be a good friend nonetheless? Do what you can, give what you can. You know, don't give all yourself, but consider that. Like, where are you? You know, and when it's bad, are you going to feel bad that you didn't go to the birthday party when you were a little tired or whatever?
Yeah.
You know.
But I think it's also a sign of a good friend that understands. Like,
yes.
You're building a business, you have like that much spare time, and for them to not need you.
But that's communication.
Right.
So I get the invitation, I'm like, hey, I'm not going to make it. I don't say, yeah, I'm going to make it and not show up.
Yeah.
There's so many people who overextend themselves too, because they're not setting boundaries for themselves. I know, it's more like, I don't think I'm going to make it. I'm going to try. I love you, man. And we'll find some time to hang out. And a good friend, and I have a ton that I don't ever get to see, and they do the same thing. Where it's like, a good friend gets it. It's like, I hope to see you in the next 6 months is quite a common phrase I have between all my friends. Because we try. The ones with kids are in the same position too. You know? And so you just do it as long as you communicate, which is, it's key in all relationships, not just romantic. It goes a long way.
It's funny, I'm like thinking of like the good friends that I have right now as opposed to before I had started my business. And it's you, it's Amber who owns her own business, and Erica who owns her own business. It's just kind of learning maybe who real friends are and building the right relationships and the right friendships.
And you go through cycles and you change, and what is important to you or what you thought was important starts getting out there. And going into the business thing, you get pulled in so many different directions, and you don't sleep at night, and you stress, and a lot of people don't understand. And I've had I've had a lot of great friends my entire life, and I guess that's been a skill, is making the friends I have, and finding the good ones from the beginning.
Right.
And I think that's been a God-given skill I've been blessed with. But if you're not able to do that, when you're struggling, when somebody reaches out, those are things to consider. And like, hey, this is someone trying to honestly care. Maybe look into it, especially if you don't. Like, you're not going to progress, and you're not going to be happy if you can't have healthy relationships with people you're not into.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, if the only way you can have a relationship that you think you can be satisfied with is a romantic relationship, this is when you need to go see a therapist and start working on this.
Yeah.
So it's like talking about like the business part of it. Like when I started the Queen of Dating, you were the person that always showed up for me for every TV appearance. And so like as a friend, like you always supported me because I had no clue what I was doing. You would like take time off from work, like wear like costumes, do whatever. And like I can't even like tell you like how much that meant to me at the time because I had no clue what I was doing, first of all. And you're like, I'll be on TV with you, like. And I think that like it's so awesome to be able to say like 6.5 years later, like you were there from the beginning as like a friend, like, and just someone that would show up for me whenever I needed anything. You would show up, and that's your character, and you've always been like that as a person. But also on top of that, though, like that's why you attract like the people I think that you do, is because you're such a giving person and you spread yourself so thin. And like, you know, now like doing all your traveling and everything else, that would be so hard to give so much and then be in a marriage and like try to make that person feel supported. When like you're out there, that's just who you are. Like, you know, and that's, I mean, I had to learn limits and how to stop giving so much, and I went away for a while when I was in treatment. I mean, because I couldn't talk to anybody. I had nothing to give. I couldn't help myself, like much less anyone else. And you know, you took some time off of work a couple of years ago.
Because I was going through, I was trying to figure out what was going on. I had a relationship and it went sideways. And I was trying to figure out, I thought I had depression, and this was even before the relationship. And part of the reason this relationship fell apart was misdiagnosis. And so I always had ADD problems. I always had, I thought it was depression causing it. And so we started doing the treatment. And I mean, I'm sure you guys have dipped into like sexually how antidepressants affect you. That was not fun. And then it turns out to not be helping also. You're like, oh cool, I'm crying at a bar now too, on top of everything else.
Josh, this was last night.
Well, I had a good enough reason.
I'm just going to preface this what literally happened last night.
I wasn't trying to call that out. I was trying to myself, but yeah.
Apparently my antidepressants are not working.
So they go, it's not depression, so maybe it is ADD. So we're going to give you some Adderall. And this is while dating this girl, and all of a sudden I became a much different person, and not a tweaker, but pretty much. And things kind of went sideways and went back to my psych, and he just looked at me, he's like, you need to throw your Adderall away. He's like, as soon as he saw it, he's like, oh, this is not what it's supposed to be doing. Like, he's like, I can tell you're shook. And I thought I had my shit together. And then they got rid of it, and I was like, okay, well what? And he sent me back to the clinical psychologist, and it's funny, it all comes back to poop. At least for me.
That's a new one.
Wasn't expecting it to go that way.
Well, tell us, Josh, about poop.
That's going to be my t-shirt. It does. It's funny, is this simple question that kind of solved and figured out a lot of problems for me, is he goes, how do you do in the bathroom? Do you go to the bathroom a lot? I'm like, oh, ever since I was a kid, anytime it was stressful, I just shit myself silly. And like, I'd always had every high school dance, everything, you'd always find me in the bathroom at least one point. Like, my body digested that, and I called it stress. And he's like, no, that's anxiety, Josh. You have a physical manifestation of anxiety, and it cascades to cause all these other symptoms. And so I didn't get on any, because I didn't have like anxiety attacks. I just had this constant anxiety that I spent my entire life coping with and dealing with, and always thought I just had a fast mind and an overthought, and it's true still. But at that point, I'm like, oh crap, that is that. And didn't really take much in the way of medication. Gave me something that's like equivalent to Benadryl, essentially. Not too much. It kind of calmed me down. I took the time off work, started getting like painting and weird stuff to try to get that out and find a new way to cope with it. Because I didn't think medication was going to work for me in the normal sense, just because I've been reacting so weird to everything else and I still believe it. That's why I don't take anything, and we'll get into what I do take now.
Go for it.
But yeah, and so I kind of learned to cope with it, and I thought I had it together. Stopped going to therapy because friggin' Kaiser, you get a good one, and they have like a 2-month wait for an appointment. Yeah. So like this bout, I asked like, I need a new guy who doesn't have a lot of clients, and hopefully he's good. Mm-hmm. And so it's been good, so I can get like at least every other week an appointment while I was going through all this. But the other thing, when when my new ex, number 2, left, because she bounced, because it was just not fun anymore, and she looked for something more fun.
More fun.
Yeah.
No, that's like
just
the stuff
different fun. Yeah. My brother, he's in the cannabis industry. He had given me CBD caplets, like pure CBD, low THC, and I said, screw it on day 1. I'm like, I realized I wanted to do everything possible to come out of this in a healthy manner. I don't want to be the last single Josh. He did not figure things out. He didn't handle it the right way. He masked a lot through having fun and living in Midtown and banging through Midtown safely.
No, but like this is like when we were going out a lot together and stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, like, cause like doing better, take out.
Yeah, and it's the age of Tinder just came out and all of that, and it's like, oh boy, this is crazy.
This is how I learned Tinder, by the way, is
Yeah, it's like, oh, a way to meet 100 people in 2 days and then filter them out a little bit and possibly get some dates without even having like approach someone at the bar. For a guy with anxiety, perfect. Like, and I'm pretty eloquent and I'm kind of sharp, so now I can be fast-witted responses too, and like it worked out. But this time I'm like, I don't want to do that. So I tried CBD, and holy crap, didn't feel any effect, but I felt I was processing things different. And my brother, sometimes I think he's a snake oil salesman, even though he's not. It's because it's also new, and it feels quite often it feels like pseudoscience, even though it's a natural herb like anything else. And so if you think echinacea can work, why can't you think CBD can help you in some sense? And so we started taking it, and didn't feel different, but I was noticing I was processing different. Immediately, like in a day or 2, it was abundantly clear I need to go to therapy, and I'm like, I gotta go to the gym, I'm not drinking, I'm taking a month off, like all these things where I'm like, I'm not gonna burn it down, I'm not gonna make bad decisions, like I'm not going to Reno and just banging this out, or drinking myself blind.
So you're coping, like, differently. You're coping, like, you're making healthier coping.
Because my mind's not running amok.
And you think the CBD kind of helps your brain waves change?
Clarify, it doesn't slow, it doesn't, not like any of the pharmaceuticals, where there's a market effect. It's just, it's different, and even so, and like, I would just keep getting hit with more and more bogus stuff. My ex was just being cold beyond belief. I saw her for 20 minutes a week later, and that was it. Wouldn't answer phone calls or anything. And the whole time I just kept going, like, I don't care if we get back together or not, but we should probably go to counseling just to work out some of the stuff so we can create some kind of closure and understanding. So I'm learning she wanted to maintain a narrative that it's easier, and if you avoid talking, then it stays real versus reality. Right. And that was a common theme throughout the marriage that I didn't notice until afterwards. So that was another thing. I didn't realize things were so bad and how depressed I really was coming into her leaving, where when she left, I'm like, and you're not taking the dogs, and you're letting me still, I get the house on the vineyard and stuff. Okay.
Right.
Like, all right, you're running away from everything. Awesome. I can't be the totally crazy one, Right. And so that process and thinking, every time she would do something gnarly, I was like, all right. I just shrugged my shoulders. I'd call my mom. She was kind of my sounding board. And that's the key, to have a sounding board that doesn't judge and that will take the other side. And that's where my mom fits in, is she has no problem calling me out on shit all day long. And so I call and just kind of digest it. And she's the angry one. She's so pissed at the ex. Versus me, I'm like talking her down. I'm like, no, calm down. This is what's going on. I can see why she's acting this way. This makes sense. It's not cool, but this is why. And this is, once you understand the mental state, it's like there's no controlling that mental state. And I think that was the clarity I was getting, where I'm not freaking out about the end of things and how things are going. I was more thinking, okay, this is what is going on. This is why. This makes sense. It sucks, but all right, on to the next. Let's just keep working on me, filling that hole that I know is coming. Because my first marriage, we split amicably. We're still friends. She wants to cut the new ex. She wants to cut it back. She's like,
oh wait, like Lisa has a thing of like way of coping, so you laugh, cry, or kill people.
Yeah.
That's talked about it.
That's my first ex.
I'm just saying. Like,
I love the hell out of that woman still. I mean, I'll do whatever it takes.
Yeah, she's awesome. I mean.
She's good.
It just didn't work out, right?
No, it just didn't work. We grew. We married young and grew apart, and wanted different things. And she's in a place where she's super happy. So I'm super happy for her. She just said, "You can leave Josh. You can't leave those dogs." And that was her statement. So now she's made an enemy of my ex-wife. So if number 1 and number 2 ever meet again, watch out, number 2.
I mean, but like the thing is, like we all see each other. Like there is no escaping. Like
Well, for this one, she's quit her job and is moving to Reading to get out. Oh yeah, and like next week is awesome. There's going to be a party. Yeah.
Well then.
Yeah, pure burn protocol.
Okay.
Burn everything she liked and loved too.
A bird to the ground.
Just rather than dealing with it, and that's the thing is, I am kind of everywhere around here, but we can still be cool. Like one way or another, we can still be cool. And now, that's her last safe place now. And I'm learning a lot. She had a number 1 also, and so hearing it became abundantly clear all the bad stuff I was hearing, going like, oh, and I wasn't the one to go like F the first guy. I always like, are you sure? Like, he seems he's being nice. He gets screwed up, but there's no reason to still be angry. Seems like he's not doing things dirty, and he took care of you. And now it's like, okay, the negative narrative. That's what's up.
You see, like what went on with the person I was with for years, and I didn't say anything to anybody. I never told anybody what was going on. I covered everything up because like it was so bad, and like and he helped me move into this place, and you were there.
Well, and he kept. I mean, the thing is, it's one of those things. He's a sweet guy, and he really did care for you. And that's that weird thing when you're with somebody, and I was kind of that in our relationship. I was shitty quite often because of the stress and because of the travel and because of everything. But there's still a part of that person that really, really loves you and wants to take care of you and does great things, and you have to always kind of battle like, is it worth it? Is it not? And that's why I'm not mad about where I am in a sense, because I can understand. And that's the same thing where he was amazing in so many ways, and he really, really, really cared about you. He just was also an idiot and really didn't make good choices.
Well, he was an addict, and the thing is, like, that's like that was his first love, and like. Like I promised him I wouldn't talk about him at Mental Health Matters Day, and like I wouldn't put it out there to the world. Like that was our agreement because he did pay my rent like when I was in treatment, and like all the bad things. Like he's not a bad person.
No.
And like like when I talk about it, like everybody loved him, and like that was a really hard thing for me to leave because that was my closest I've had to family.
Same thing. Oh, like where is she? And like, oh, she's so great. And I'm like, it was a big face, and then when I come home, it's just a very angry person. She was addicted to anger. I mean, it was really, as you talk about it, I think about it, and I've never said this statement, but she was addicted to anger.
Wow.
Yeah, and you could really tell, like, when she was unhappy, and it would go deeper and deeper and deeper and throw me in a total spiral, so I'm not responding well either. And it was crazy, but there was this thing where I'm going, oh, we shouldn't be even talking to kids right now. I think we need to get help. Like, I'm not handling it well, but you're like, dying to stay angry and making up things to justify. Like you're now saying lies in the middle of the argument.
Oh, this was last night on my date, though.
Yeah, same kind of thing. It's like no, don't say stuff just to justify your feelings. Be honest. And some people can't, and that's a pathological kind of thing.
My second ex-husband.
Yeah.
But we talk about this all the time. Like being authentic is not something I've ever really excelled at because I grew up in East Sac, even in Jesuit, I went to St. Francis. Appearances are everything. And I learned at a very young age to put on a happy face and not talk about it. And I think that in the healing process, you learn that you don't have to be okay all the time. And, we will pick one another up. And, it is okay to fall apart. But, if you come home, I always think that anger is a synonym for hurt. And, literally it's hurt. So it's their pain taken out on you because they can't cope with their emotions. And so to come home to that every day is, a toxic environment. And it wears on you because, you're like, what did I do now? Like, and you don't want to go home then. So you book your calendar so you don't have to deal with that person.
And on the inverse, in a relationship, in a marriage with someone, they're assuming you're mad at them before anything happens. You know, a big thing is like, I'd go on a trip, all the dishes in the world be in the kitchen. I didn't have time to do them. I'm like, can you take care of the dishes? Yeah, on it. And like, she was a teacher, so have vacations and such. And you know, I'd be gone. It was these times where I'm gone and I know she's off. And I come back 4 days later and the same dishes were out there and like now stinking and more, and like she's just on the couch and the house is a mess, and it's just like, what'd you do for 4 days? And I wasn't mad as much as like, I'm just kind of bummed out. I was like, you couldn't even just for half an hour muster the get up. Like, I'm a master at this. I live like a slob for the 3 days you're gone, and then on day 4, I give myself 2 hours before you show up, and then I bust ass. Yeah. So it looks like I was on top of this whole time, and it's like, and it's just that little bit of effort, and that was the part I get upset about. Is like, there's no effort. Like, you can't, and there's always underlying reasons and all of that. And I wouldn't blow up. I'd just be disappointed. I'm like, okay. And I'd go and I'd start doing it, and she'd think I'd be like seething mad because she's seething mad at herself.
She's disappointed. Like, it's a guilt and shame.
Yeah, guilt and shame. And she feeds it and then uses anger to feed it as well. And then, and she just kind of goes from there and then assumes it's all me. And so even times when I come home and she had done stuff, I walk in and she's waiting for me to find something wrong. And I'm like, nothing. And then I'd ask, oh, what happened with this? Because I'm just curious.
Right.
She's like, what do you mean? I tried it. I'm like, whoa. I'm just asking because I've been gone for 4 days and I'm just trying to understand what's going on so I know what I need to do now that I'm home to help contribute, because I feel bad for not being around. Trying to pick up slack versus I'm asking what wasn't done because I'm judging you.
Right.
And those angry people, that's what it is.
Right.
They're slapping themselves so hard on the back they can't even think about anyone else.
They assume everyone has the same mindset of anger, and so I think they come home built up, ready to explode.
Yeah.
Even though nothing has happened, they just
like
think.
time bomb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, like, the person that I dated that, you know, like, he was never mean to me. He never put me down one time. And, like, I will say that about that. Like, coming home to that situation, he was never mean to me. And he did do so much, and he'd do all the dishes and, like, everything else. But, like, he went fucked up in, like, a completely different way. But, like, I could never say that, like, I came home to, like, a bad environment. I could come home to a liar and someone that's an addict. But, like, that having to, like, have that fear of, like, whatever you do is gonna, like, set them off. I mean, it has to be freeing now not to live in that.
Oh, yeah, it was day one. I'm like, oh.
That's what, when I left my second ex-husband, I was sad that a marriage ended. But when I, like, got my own apartment, I was like, holy shit, I can breathe. I'm not worried about I'm not walking on eggshells, wondering if Jekyll or Hyde's gonna come in through the door. It was amazing.
And the tough part is her narrative, I was that person.
Right.
And that's the part that really, really sucks. And that's where, like, I'm just like, hey, let's go counseling so we can just see, you can see, like, that wasn't me. And you can see what I dealt with and vice versa, because I'm ready to hear all the bad things.
Right.
I trust me, I already assume all the bad things about myself, and I know I'm an asshole. But, like, maybe we can understand a little bit why, and so we can at least part ways knowing, like, this wasn't the way it really was.
Right, like you can't get through to somebody. I mean, my ex-husband, he's remarried, and I guarantee he's told his current wife that I was cheating, I was doing this. Everything he was doing, he has told her that I did.
Rejected. But, like, you went to 3 years of Christian marriage counseling.
Where all I needed to do...
I didn't appreciate this one, because we went to Catholic school.
This is why I can never step foot in a church again. I make a joke that my skin burns.
Josh and I.
The water catches fire when I walk.
Yeah, because I was
don't try to go anymore.
Because I mean, he was cheating. He was an alcoholic. He was hiding everything from me. He would sneak out when I would go to bed. And at that time, the kids were like 1, 3, and 8, maybe 9. And I owned my own business. I owned a house cleaning business. So he would sneak out at night. But yeah, so we did the marriage counseling, and he was super abusive mentally, emotionally, financially. I wasn't allowed to have friends. All they needed to do was go, dude, for reals, let's get you out of here. But it was, oh, you never leave a marriage, and so I was like, I never leave a marriage. I'm gonna get treated like shit for 8 years, and then until I actually made some friends, and then I was like, wait a minute, I'm not a piece of shit.
So
I left.
I mean, like, but the trauma, like, so how we talk about, like, how this affects us and stuff, like, the coping and everything, and, like, growing as a person, like, you know, like, I used to just go out and party and, like, never talk about anything. I was happy Jen. Happy Jen, I had no problems.
Everything's great.
Yeah, like, and I
cried on this.
yeah, exactly. And I think that that's, like, the thing is, like, I never realized, like, it was going to come back one day, and it was going to play out the way it did, and everyone knows it was pretty fucking bad, how it went down. But, like, to come back and be able to say now, like, all these years later, and you've seen, you know, this man, I think, like, I'm actually doing better in the sense of, like, owning, like, the trauma, the truth, the pain, whatever it is.
I think some of your health problems are tied to that too, right? Of that bottling. I'm one of those weirdos, maybe if you want to call it, that believes a little bit in that, where stuff manifests from the bottling up is the biggest thing. My friend, I won't use his name either, but he's a bottler upper.
I know who you're talking about. I know
he's
exactly
the sweetest guy in the world and everything else, and he's gone through losing his mother in high school and things like that, and you know, he'll shed a little bit of tear and whatnot, but quite often they've got that German stoicism to them.
German.
Yeah. and I always worry about him at times, and that's why I like to make sure him and I go out on a Friday and get a little plastered and let things out a bit, so he gets that release. So because of that thing, because I do really believe holding it in does really affect your system.
Well, they told me
both
that.
have ulcers.
Well, no, but like the cancer, they told me in my 20s and stuff because it came back 5 times, and like they said the stress was like perpetuating it, and I didn't believe them. And then I started the company and was working 14 hours a day, and I was like, it's not going to be me. And then like every fucking thing that could go wrong went wrong. And I really had to reevaluate, like, now, like, my limits and, like, how I choose to live my life and the stress and, like, actually asking for help, like...
And boundaries and like, just because you can go out and take care of someone or be there doesn't mean you have to, you know, and the balance. And, like, there were times, you know, you've been reaching out to me the last few weeks where, hell, yeah, I could cancel something or not sleep and show up and meet up with you at 10 or 11 at night and be home at 3 on a Wednesday and do it. And I'm like, no, I've got to go to sleep. I've got this stupid $1 million dog now, and I've got to do these things, and I've got to take care of myself, or I'm not going to be able to take care of the things I need to. And I hope to God I can see you at a good time, and I hope you understand. You did understand, and that's the sign of a good friend.
Right.
Is understanding that limit. But it's one of those things. That's a struggle in divorces too. You come out and you don't have boundaries, and you're trying to, and then people set it for you when you first start dating. And you're like, no, I'm fine.
See, I didn't.
That's what my date said last night.
I never dated in between marriages.
Oh.
Like, so when I left my second ex-husband, my plan was for 1 year, I'm going to make horrible decisions and enjoy life. And then 3 months into it, I met my current husband, and we had been friends in the past, so there was no really dating. It was
because there already was like a relationship kind of.
We had been friends, 4 years previous, so there wasn't like the typical dating.
Dating sucks.
I never want to do it.
Well, I mean, thank you for coming on mine last night, and he's watching this, by the way, because he stalked me and looked me up.
Sorry, buddy.
That was not a winning date. So anyways, so if you want to learn more about us, come out to Hussix Tap House in Clarksburg. You're owning it. 1 year anniversary is July 6th.
And even if not the party, we're right past the Sugar Mill, open 7 days a week, killer spot for barbecue. Our tri-tips you can cut with a spoon.
Oh, nice.
Our Cubano sandwich is the best in NorCal. Fight me if you disagree.
I want to try this.
14 awesome craft beers on tap, another 30 in cans, and then great local wines. And it's a 100-year-old hardware store. So it's just got a cool, chill vibe. So when you want to go down on the river, it's only 20 minutes max from downtown.
Yeah.
It's nothing. I Uber home all the time. Thank God. And it's
you
only
used
a
to live on
20
the
buck
grid with
ride.
me. Like we used to live on the. You used to live like right the corner.
Yeah.
Imagine that, Josh and Josh was living around the corner.
Oh, that's so bad.
And then like DJ, he was his roommate at the comedy show, which is how we met Arnie.
Yes.
So like everything comes full circle because you were there that night.
Well, it's like you go back to your childhood days where you're like, the lights are turning on, but it's still dusk. One kid's walking around, knock on doors, like, can Josh come out and play? And then you go get your other friends, and then you go out and play. And that's how Midtown became. Like, when we were in that single mode, especially when I was in that single mode, it's like, DJ lived down the street, knock on my door, like, what you doing? I'm like, I guess we're doing stuff. And go. Or, like, I worked on O Street, lived on O Street, and so I'm walking down and across 16th and O, and you have 4 corners where there's going to be a patio, and somebody you know is there, like, Josh, and it's happy hour, so why wouldn't I get a slice and a beer at Vito's? And then all of a sudden it's Tuesday night, and I'm home at 2, and I'm like wondering what I'm doing with myself.
Our lives, like when you're like, I have to go on Jen's show in the morning. Yeah, but he showed up though. He's always showed up. I will tell you this. You were one of the most loyal, awesome human beings I've ever met.
I don't like all these compliments.
I know you don't. You hate it. But like, anyways, I survived a lot of the last several years because Josh plays a great chaperone, an enabler, whatever. Anyways, we are going to be there July 6th. Make sure to come out. We'll put it on our Facebook page. We're really excited to have you as a sponsor at the Sexcapade Chronicles. Josh is a contributor for the paint and helping with the remodel. We're super excited.
I think there's too much purple to this pink. I would have gone a little bit brighter pink, but that's just my call. I would have gone, see, look at this color, like that, so you can see it, but whatever.
Well, we're gonna like, you know.
Should have consulted me, whatever.
We'll paint colors and everything else. So you guys, make sure to check out Josh and Hessig's Tap House in Clarksburg, and until the next episode, thanks for watching.
Bye.
See you later.